How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I made a mistake. Over the last day, I've been trying to explain what's been happening in the market, and I think I've done a decent job. But today, I talked about how the market was falling. I talked about why it was falling, and a lot of people were saying that I was, wishy-washy, bipolar, that kind of thing. And I want to explain what I'm actually doing and remind you how I'm thinking about the market and how you might want to think about it too. We also have some big news that kind of ties into all this coming from Luna, and they bought a significant amount of Bitcoin. So I I'll try to explain this a little bit better. If you guys don't mind hitting the like button and the subscribe button, I appreciate that. There's a link underneath the video to Unstoppable Domains where you can get a readable wallet address. It's a lot easier to receive crypto, and I have one myself. Definitely check that out. There's also a link down there to BlockFi. They're bringing new assets all the time to people outside the US. They're still working with regulators in the US, but you can get to a $250 bonus when you start depositing underneath the video. Now, the market's still looking crappy. As soon as I posted that last video talking about how 37.2 or 37.3, we had bounced off that several times. We fell right below it and then kind of popped right above it. We're right around 37, just under 37 now. And the stock market's still looking horrible. I mean, a lot of indexes are down 4 or 5%. Now, I tried to explain why this was happening today and what kind of news we got. And I explained why the market was up yesterday. I think some people mistake me making these videos for me saying that I am super bullish or super bearish on the market. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is really consistent day in and day out. And what I'm doing here is explaining why the market is selling off. Now, with that in mind, I want to remind you of a few things, and this is why I told my Patreon as well today. I am consistently buying. I'm a buyer in this market. We don't know when things are going to turn around. I mean, like yesterday, right? We saw a 5% day. We could still see a 5% day and then another 3% day. We could have multiple days like this in a row, and it might just be too late, especially because a lot of the movement of the market is with news that we are getting consistently. Like if we have good news, then good news, then good news, and then we figure out, okay, maybe inflation isn't actually that high, it's actually coming down, and then we can say, okay, the Fed can be a little bit more dovish instead of hawkish, and then we go to risk on again. Then it's going to be too late to buy some of these different assets at the prices that we're at today. So I think it's important to know what I'm doing. I'm dollar cost averaging. I bought today. The other thing is too, you have to remember all these different companies that you're buying into if you're buying stocks, right? They're still working every day. They're still innovating every day. They still are earning profits, hopefully, or getting closer to earning profits every day. Now, they could still have bad news come, so that's why you want to have really good companies, right? This is not a time to go out and bet on some company that's losing billions of dollars every year, that's really far away from production and is overvalued. Right? This is why I'm buying companies like Amazon, Google, Tesla. These are companies that I believe in, and I think that they are at a good valuation now. Especially because they've come down a lot off of some concerns that I think don't really affect these companies as much. Like, for example, Amazon got hit really hard because of a stake in Rivian, and that's not going to affect them long term. That was just a nice little investment that they made that turned out poorly this last quarter. But I also want to remind you that Bitcoin is going to become more and more valuable over time. Benjamin Cohen does this really good video series where he talks about the fair value logarithmic regression value of Bitcoin over time. So basically, as time goes on, it becomes logarithmically more and more valuable. So, back in 2010, it was worth a smaller amount. Then as time goes on, it just becomes more and more valuable. Every single day, even if we're going up or going down, no matter what we're doing, it's becoming more valuable. So the true value of Bitcoin continues to go up. A lot of that is because of the fact that it's becoming more and more adopted. More and more people are buying it and holding it. I mean, we just had Fidelity just last week or the week before talk about how they're going to allow people to buy it in their retirement accounts. Today, we have Luna Foundation that is adding 38,000 Bitcoin, basically 38,000 Bitcoin, roughly $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin to back UST. So we have companies like Luna, we have companies like Coinbase and these other companies that do it very quietly. They just take some of the profits and buy cryptos. And we have companies like MicroStrategy. They're just buying and they're going to hold. Maybe they sell years down the line, but that's not the plan as of now. And of course, anything can happen, right? Luna could go dump their entire bag if the market starts pumping and they just made, a couple $1 billion. I don't see that happening though, because they have too much to lose in that scenario. But as time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder to buy because there's so many people that are just holding it for the long term. They don't need the money. Like I'm buying Bitcoin. I don't need the money in a year. I don't need it in 2 years. I don't need it in 5 probably. 10, 20, 30 years down the line, maybe I'll take a couple sats out, a hundredth of a Bitcoin out, and I'll buy a new car for my kid or something like that. But I don't need the money. A lot of people in this audience don't need the money. So it's one of those things that it becomes more and more valuable no matter what the market's doing. So just keep that in mind, right? Companies are trying to make you money. Bitcoin is becoming more valuable. So just relax. I think the key right now for me, this is what I'm doing. And I talked about this with a couple other people today as well. I'm taking the money that I make and I'm dollar cost averaging into the market. Because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, right? I know that assets are going to go up over time. So I want assets, especially when we have inflation like this. And even though the market is pretty risk off right now, I'd rather put my money in some kind of stock that I think is at a good value than just leave it in cash at this point. Now, that being said, I'm using the money that I'm making to dollar cost average in the market, but I already have money on the sidelines. I already have a significant amount of money that if we have some kind of capitulation event, if we have some massive event, let's say Russia all of a sudden, heaven forbid, Russia nukes Ukraine or something like that, I have money on the sidelines. Of course, there are bigger things to think about when that happens, but I do have money on the sidelines in case something big were to happen, or all of a sudden the Fed raises a point, 100 basis points or something like that. I have money on the sidelines for some kind of event like that, and it's a significant amount. Now, a lot of it is working for me in stablecoin. Some of it is in just a couple different accounts I use to dollar cost average, but I have access to it pretty quickly. So I'm using that money in case of some massive event that is a once in a lifetime experience, or not experience, but a once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's say Bitcoin goes down to 25,000. I'm putting a lot of that money into the market, right? Of course, we'll probably fall down more before that, and I'll dollar cost average a little bit heavier as we go down. But we're in this scenario, or we're in this time where the market is just continuously bearish. And I think we are in a bear market, like for Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to stay here. We could move up, right? We could move up, which is why I'm not taking money out. But I think this is a very bearish time. I mean, we've been going sideways for over a year now. We've had a lot of good news, and we're less than 2 years away from the next halving, right? So this is the time to be accumulating, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to get back down to, $10,000, $15,000 Bitcoin. I think at the most, 25, 30,000. And that's when a lot of people will be buying extremely heavy. That's in a doomsday scenario, I think. Not necessarily doomsday, but if the indexes, let's say, fall another 10 or 20%, Bitcoin's probably going to fall. Let's just be honest. So I think this is the time to be accumulating. I'm still bullish over the long term. I'm still buying. Every couple days, I'm buying a significant amount of Bitcoin and of stocks that I like. Now, I think that this is not a great time to go in on altcoins because you can just see them getting beat, decimated, and unless you're trading them and you're just playing the swings, because like yesterday, right, Bitcoin goes up a couple $1,000s, you could have swung, let's say Solana or Luna or something like that. You can do well if you like to do that, but I am going to buy cryptos and stocks I like over the long term, and I want to be clear on that because, again, what I make, the videos I make, aren't necessarily what I'm doing, right? I'm not thinking everything's over, recession's coming, sell all your stocks. I'm saying it's over. There's a recession coming to Europe, if you listen to the video. And I talked about I believe I talked about dollar cost averaging. Same thing, someone said, hey, you were going all in on crypto last week because I said that in a title or something like that. But I was saying that some people are saying that, and then I explained why I wouldn't do that, right? My thought process on the market is pretty much the same every single day. I'm going to dollar cost average into really good quality assets. I'm going to keep some money on the sidelines that's working for me in stablecoin that I can deploy in the market in case it drops significantly. But I wanted to clear that up because I think some people were questioning it. So yeah, so I just wanted to explain that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely check out BlockFi and Unstoppable Domains underneath the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.